through, and may need a little help from everybody to get through this meeting. And we are a village, so we'll make it happen. We have a couple of really good updates coming from coming over from June. And thank you to everyone who joined in our joint meeting as we look at potential intersections with children's environmental health and other commissions such as climate, environmental justice, and seeing where we can combine work. As we know, we go into this fall, there's a number of things I hope we can think about advancing here in Maryland. One is taking a look at what resources we have on lead. We're going to be getting briefings and updates not only today, but throughout the fall as state agencies prepare for a gubernatorial transition. I will be very interested to see where we stand on our Medicaid programs, on our lead programs, and how do we maximize other monies coming from the Inflation Reduction Act, the Building Infrastructure, Bipartisan Infrastructure Act, and how do we support our agencies in both aligning these monies, not choking on the money, providing the right workforce opportunities for communities to advance the de-leading of housing, of soil, of water systems, and be able to look at other sources. And I want to just say thank you to everybody who makes that happen, from our property owners to our tenant advocates to our state agencies. As you know, I sent out a mailer. Thank you to Adam Skolnick also for his help in it on the news reports around the lack of inspections that were happening by the department. So I'll ask today that the department also provide the update. I was very pleased that Secretary Blada met and laid out a plan of action to close the gap on the inspections. What is clear to me is that we do have to look at potential additional support for MDE to ensure two things, that their database remains strong and that staffing support remains strong, and that there is good transition as we change administrations to maintain the health and good work of the MDE program and those on other agencies. So Wendy, do you mind pulling up the agenda for today? I know we have to get to minutes and but before and introductions, but if you wouldn't mind pulling up the agenda.
Yeah, do you want me to just pull up the detailed one that we had discussed or just the simplified one?
Yeah, let's just get to the detailed so we make sure we get to
sure.
today.
All right, I'm going to share the screen.
There you go. So I appreciate everybody being here. What I would like is if I could ask, and I'll let you all self-identify, if you would please, if you are a member of the commission, could you please introduce yourself to the public?
Hi, I'm Barbara Moore. I'm a pediatric nurse practitioner and director of the lead poisoning program at Mount Washington Pediatric Hospital, and have been a commission member for a lot of years.
And an important force, yes.
Hi, I'm Delegate Dahlia Atari, I represent District 41.
Thank you, Delegate.
Hi, I'm Jack Daniels. I am a commission member, I think, for about a little less than a year. I am the director of special loans for the Department of Housing and Community Development for the state of Maryland.
Hi, good morning. I am Angela Paul, the nurse practitioner and the consultant for the Office of Child Care with the Maryland State Department of Education. I've been a commission member since 2014. Good to see you all. Thank you.
Good morning.
Hi, my name is Jacob Benzaken. I am owner of JBZ Management, a commission member, and happy to be here.
And Jacob, where are you located?
Currently in my car, but
No, I meant where's your business located, sir?
in Northwest Baltimore City, near Pikesville.
Okay. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Susan Kleinhammer, President of Lead Tech Services, Commission member. I am a lead risk assessor, accredited risk assessor.
Okay. Anyone else? Last call for commission members.
Did we already
Hi,
get? Sorry. go
Paula
ahead.
Montgomery, comment call from MDE. Welcome, everyone.
Did we already get Paul Rogers? Because I know he's been trying to come in, and then I don't know if he's getting kicked out, but he's been trying to come in a couple times.
I'm here.
Oh, you are there. Are you getting kicked out, or what's happening? Because I keep
I
seeing...
was making some adjustments to my video.
Okay. Okay.
Paul, do you want to introduce yourself? I'm sorry, sir. We're introducing commission members.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm Paul Rogers, and a retired neurodevelopmental pediatrician. And I don't know, some point later on, Ruth, I want to talk a little about the MDAAP ECHO program and the grant that we just got.
We want to make sure that you have a chance to do that. And I'll ask Paul, being the good doctor you are, I'm operating today under COVID-19. So just remind me if we forget, but I'm sure Wendy will remind me. And then do we have other commission members who have not introduced themselves, just for the record, please? Okay, Wendy, do we have quorum for today, for Paula?
I do know that Adam is joining us, so he may be 10 or, and he said he might be 15 minutes late. So if we want to wait until he comes, I think we probably would have quorum.
Okay. All right. Well, we can proceed, I think, and we can get, I believe, an email vote on minutes, but hopefully he will arrive prior to that. As we thank you for the introductions and welcome to all of our guests.
Christina just joined as well, Ruth Ann. Sorry for interrupting.
Yeah, we have a
No worries.
quorum, so we're good to go.
Thank you. And Christina, would you like to introduce yourself as a member of the commission? I don't think she's maybe on or heard me, but we will move forward. So as I indicated in my opening remarks, we are looking at the fall as we start to really zero in on a number of our objectives and an update to our asset and gap analysis to help lead us to where we are in light of federal funding. We are, after this meeting, we'll be sending out a survey of the top 3 objectives that you would like to see the commission help to achieve and support on behalf of the state and under the commission's mission as set out by the statute. We think this is really important as we prepare to strengthen the commission, and one of the things that we have long overdue on the commission that I would like to see as chairs that we fully fill the commission. So Wendy, if you would, please bring up the open positions so that we can let the public know that what we are looking to do is to ensure that we have open positions that either are due for reappointment, and that is a representative of rental property owners built after 1949, a representative of child health or youth advocacy group, and parent of a poisoned child. We're going to take very seriously to try and work with the governor's office to fill these by the expedite those and hopefully try to fill them by the next meeting or 2. I am encouraging members of both the public and members of the commission on this call to please forward recommendations for these. We also have a opening for reappointment or new appointment for the lead hazard identification professional that is pending in the state. And then, Angela, I know we need to, on some of our positions, need to move for reappointment as well. Also open.
Angela's got her hand raised, Ruth Ann.
Sure, go ahead, Angela.
Thank you. I'm just noticing that under my number 5, I am from the Maryland State Department of Education, from Division of Early Childhood. Respectfully ask you to change that, please. And also, I submitted the application last July when Wendy sent me the reminder. I'm not sure what happened, so I'm asking Wendy whether I should resubmit and send email to Wendy to follow it up.
Yes, both you and Adam will need to reapply because of the way the appointment terms expiration date falls. Even though you applied last year, you're going to have to reapply this year, and then it'll be correct. You won't have to then apply for another couple of years. So I'll send you guys a separate email.
Well, yes, and just for the position for Adam that is currently held, and well, good job by Adam Skolnick. That is open to the public to make recommendations for the representative of owners of rental property located outside of Baltimore City, built before 1950. So that is it is coming up to be for reappointment. So we encourage the current commissioners, should they wish to continue to apply, but we also encourage the public, should they wish to make recommendations, to submit recommendations via the Department of the Environment and the Governor's Appointments Office. If you need more information on that, please contact Wendy or myself offline, and we will certainly get back to you to ensure that you know the process. And as I noted in my opening remarks before introductions, we are going to be asking agencies that are preparing their transition reports as it may relate to lead for the next governor. If for transparency, if those are available for sharing, we would love to have them shared with the commission. But we also want this commission over the next 1, 2, 3 months to be thinking about the recommendations that we would like to make as a commission to perhaps literally put ourselves out of need or out of work because we want to get to a place that lead poisoning is a rare occurrence, not a common occurrence in the state. And so we are encouraging in the discussion over the fall, certainly to be thinking about our obligation to support the current governor and the next governor on actions and that can be taken. So at this point in time, I believe Christina has joined us. I don't believe Adam has yet joined us, but I do believe we have quorum. So we are going to ask for a approval of the minutes. And if you have read them, may I get a motion to approve?
I approve.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Wendy, the minutes have been adopted, and we appreciate that. Can we go to the next thing on the agenda, please? Thank you. So last year, the commission established a new award in the state of Maryland as part of our look at annually the Lead Poisoning Prevention Awareness Week and recognition of the need to continue to advance this work. We provided awards and recognition last year, and that's the time of year is up again to make recommendations around Outstanding Child Health Environmental Advocate Award, outstanding advocate, and any special recognition awards. We have a set of criteria on this, which we will share with all members of the commission. Wendy, please remind me, did we open up the nominations to anyone outside of the commission, or is this kept in nomination for people within inside the commission?
You know what? I don't remember. I'm gonna have to check back what we did last year. My brain, yeah, I'm just like blocking here. I can't remember.
Paula?
I believe we only,
I don't know.
we would take suggestions, but from the public, but
and then the commission selects.
Exactly.
Okay. Well, we would encourage that. Nothing happens for success that we've had in our continual work forward without a cast of many. And we are really grateful for all of the amazing work that has been done and continues to be done on this issue, especially as this issue has broadened to the issues of water, especially in the last few years, and our continued need to bring a focus to the primary cause of housing condition and lead-based paint. So Wendy is scrolling through here the nomination process. We are looking to have these nominations submitted within the next 3 weeks, so that we will have time to vet them and provide them by email to the commission, and be able to present them during National Lead Poisoning Prevention Week, and notify during the next commission meeting, and provide some media outreach to highlight these efforts. I strongly will just encourage that we look strongly to our impacted communities, to our parents, and to people on front lines who are doing this work, to our doctors, to our inspectors, and to those who are working every day tirelessly and often without notice for the merit of their work, and appreciate that. Does anyone have any questions on this at this time? Wendy, you'll be sending this out again to the members of the commission.
Yes, I will be sending the survey. Yep.
And then how will we make this available to the public?
Good question. I could put a link on our lead commission webpage. That would probably be the easiest way.
Okay, and we can share that, and would encourage people to do that if you can, and share it with your communities. And we thank you. Let's go to the work of the day, please. So where are we here? So we have in October, our goal is to move the commission meeting to a public meeting with accessible to community. And we are in process of trying to schedule this to be held at the meeting space at the Henderson Hopkins School in East Baltimore, and to engage a project with the students there and Tench Tillman and other schools related to lead poisoning, so that we can hear not only from the public and from the community, but also from youth who are working on issues of environmental health and environmental justice. So we will very quickly, right after the Labor Day holiday, be putting out details if we are able to secure all the details for this meeting, so that we will meet in a public forum, broadcast publicly, hopefully on Facebook and other places, and with community members invited. Camille, I will also reach out particularly to you and others on the commission from Baltimore, that once we get this, to share this widely so that we have a good opening for community member participation, and make this more accessible. Welcome, Dr. Mitchell. Thank you for joining us today. Is there any question about this potential of holding this meeting in a different location, which means we are encouraging in October, regardless of my current state of COVID-19, that we meet in person and be present for meeting in person.
Camille's hand is raised.
I'm sorry, whose hand? I don't see it.
Camille Bark. Camille.
Hello, Camille.
Hey, I just wanted to know if it's going to be the same time or we're going to change the time because of school and life and all that kind of stuff.
I think we can get the facility during the school day,
okay.
But I would take input if people wanted to move the time to later to do an evening meeting versus a daytime meeting. I'd love to hear from the commission on your thoughts on that. The intent was to maybe have this when it would be accessible for kids to actually see a commission work in reality. So I hope that we'll be way more interesting than we normally are if we're able to do that, so we can teach a civic lesson. Cliff, good to see you.
Yeah, my apologies for being late. I had a little urgent thing, but it's lovely to be back. Sorry that you are under the weather. I'm certainly happy to participate in an evening meeting. I love the idea of a civics lesson. It does beg the question of what how you run that, but I do think it's a wonderful idea, and I'd certainly be happy to do an evening.
Yeah, I think we will do a little bit of education on both what is a commission for the public, and share some of the goals of the commission and the state of lead poisoning. So it will be a little bit of time. My suggestion, and again, want feedback, but that is my suggestion, that we top the meeting off with that, so that we provide some education as we conduct our normal course of business. Barbara?
I'm wondering, maybe the school can give us some insight as far as what the students would prefer, morning versus evening, and which is easier for them.
Yes, we will certainly ask that. Maybe we could alternate evening and morning meetings. Is there parking at the new location? There is parking near the school, and we've held meetings with cabinet secretaries and big events and other things at Henderson Hopkins in the past, and they are equipped for these types of meetings. But Christina, could you say more about your alternating time? Are you suggesting that we meet twice?
She left the meeting. I guess she got kicked out.
No, well, we hope that's not the case. Any other comments? Oh, there she is. Hello, Christina. You're on mute, my friend.
I am really struggling this morning. I don't have COVID, so I just wanted to say, you were mentioning evenings, which is a great idea to be more inclusive, but those that prefer the morning, for example, our board, we alternate. 1 month we do an evening, 1 month we do a morning, so we could meet people where they are, so that every other month would be in the schedule. That's all. A suggestion. I'm open to either or.
Well, I tell you, we will send out a bit of a survey on that to restructure but with plenty of notice if we restructure how we will do the meetings on a more permanent basis. We're throwing a lot of special occasions into the mix in June and October, and I appreciate the flexibility and consideration of the commission. I am very committed to public discourse and public input, and I think we all learn so much from that. I can say in the 30 years that I've been in this work, the best ideas that we have moved forward have come from public impact and lived experience. So appreciate that consideration. Are there other comments or questions about the meeting? So Henderson Hopkins is in Baltimore City, and I do hope that over the course of the next year, we will hold a meeting in another location throughout the state. Yes, Ms. Burke.
I wanted to just say that I will make sure that most, if not all of my staff will be there to answer program questions and also provide information.
Wonderful. It will give us an opportunity to highlight the wonderful work of the Baltimore City Health Department and others. And maybe we will invite the mayor if he wishes to be attending as well. And Commissioner Kennedy, who I know we are hoping to get to another meeting, as well as certainly Commissioner DeRosa. Thank you, Camille. Other questions or comments before we move past this? Okay, thank you. We will look to hear a lot of communication next week on this. The Health Department Open Forum. Barbara Moore, Cliff Mitchell, can you all say more? Someone had raised this at the end of the year in May, wanting to move this forward, and I know we delayed this. So could Cliff, maybe you pick up the baton on this one for me?
Yeah, I think that the question is, as I recall, I mean, really, it's to give the local health departments an opportunity both to hear from the commission and be heard by the commission with respect to how things are going at the local level, and because there has been always this this sort of challenge across the state, understanding what lead looks like in different communities across the state and what the resources available look like. Mm-hmm. And I think that particularly now that we have at least some better understanding of what the landscape is going to look like as we have communicated, both MDE and the department have communicated with the local health departments and are receiving feedback from them on what their preferences are for managing the 3.5 to 5 population, in addition to the other children that they've already been seeing, and understanding sort of what their resources look like, what the how they are working with local community groups, if they are doing so, how they are outreaching, if they are to primary care providers, what it looks like in terms of schools and child care centers, and the efforts to follow up on kids with lead, or to do primary prevention and identify potential lead exposures in different communities. All of those things are, I think, part and parcel of what we talked about as the potential for an open forum, particularly with respect to helping the commission understand the challenges that local health departments face and the opportunities that they represent in this sort of next iteration of addressing the lead issue.
Cliff, I have two questions. Should we, would this be a good opportunity to invite those health commissioner or representatives of the health departments to the October meeting to provide a presentation on what the barriers, challenges they are facing, the resources that they feel they need? Would this be done better through a later meeting or a report and a meeting, so that we can be well informed as we advocate in the upcoming, or properly support, shall I say, in the upcoming legislative session, support not only for lead programs and other state agencies, but for these people on the front line in the health departments?
Yeah, no, I think it's an excellent question, Ruth Ann. My sense is that you've already got a very full agenda on the October meeting, and it might be a lot to try to chew on. I don't know, it might be a lot for the kids to absorb.
Yeah. That could be for the adult session.
Yeah, right. I think that this might more properly be a November meeting potentially, where you could, and Camille may have more to say on this from the local health department point of view, but I think, getting the local health departments into a place at a time. Now, one of the things that we do is we have a quarterly meeting with the lead nurses and case managers across the state with MDE. And what we might do is think about potentially giving them a break by trying to consolidate that with this as a way of making it more efficient for them and for the commission to try to sort of hear what the topics are, understand what the situation is, but not add an extra burden to local health departments.
Yeah, I mean, time is everybody's time, right? Is whatever happened over the past 3 years, time is a different resource at this point. Cliff, while you're speaking, Mangela has raised her hand, and so I want to recognize her. I think she may have a question.
Thank you, Ruthen, and thank you, Dr. Mitchell. I agree with Ruthen for the time sensitiveness to bring the health department people to learn about the problems and challenges with the public and parent education. And I also understand Dr. Mitchell's point about overwhelming workload for the local health department staff. Last month has been really challenging for me, especially when these kids are coming back to childcare programs or going back to pre-K programs, trying to understand the lead screening form, the MDH 4620. There's, I think in the previous meetings, we talked about public and parent education for the importance of lead screening and also how to interpret that form. I'm not sure much of education has been done to the parent community and to the public. So I would like for our commission to really see where we are with that and how much of education we could provide to these parents, especially with the regulation 12 months and 24 months screening or testing. It's really important these young parents are educated who kept their children home during the COVID time and trying to send them to the childcare programs or early education programs now. So it's really taking a lot of my time to interpret and to really educate them, and also back and forth with the healthcare providers, like whether to agree with the parents because they don't want the child to be tested, and educating the parents. So so there needs to be some kind of education to the public and to the parents to alleviate the burden on the childcare programs. And also, this is to Dr. Mitchell, we met for the revision of the MDH form 4620, removing the zip codes. That has been again coming back to me like, hey, these children are graduated, now they are going to school, and many healthcare providers are following that zip code. So could we be able to publish that forms ASAP so that it is available to the parent community and to the providers so that the confusion is reduced, and all we aim is to have these children tested in the early years so that we promote their learning and the development.
So I know you want to respond, and I'll respond after you, and then we'll have Camille.
Yeah, so Mangela, there's a lot there. I was taking notes. So let me just say, one, we are in fact reviewing and have been revising Form 4620 to remove the zip code references and make that form a one-page, simpler form, and also make it clear to whom it applies and why, etc. We are clearly going to, and I agree with you, Mangela, that as we move to a level of 3.5 for a blood lead reference value, talking with parents and providers and schools about what that means, and childcare centers as well, and how to think about that is absolutely critical and very important, and I think something that I want to discuss with the commission. And the other thing that goes along with that is that the long delayed, I am currently working on completing the long delayed evaluation of data related to the impact of the change in the regulations on testing rates across the state, and looking at what our recommendations and policy should be moving forward with respect to what do we take from what's happened over the last 5 years, essentially 5 years since we changed the testing regulations. What should be our policy moving forward with respect to identifying children at risk for lead and our testing policy? And that is something that I am working on internally, and will be happy to share with you. I'm hoping to have that ready to share with you in the next couple of months. It is still internal with me, and then we'll need an internal review, but it is something that I've promised the commission we would come back to, and I will keep you apprised as we make progress in that. So I guess, Mangela, I agree with everything you've said. I will, I don't know if Eamon is on the call or not, but we will happily share with you a draft of the revised form. Yep. We've had it out for local comments and comments from some of our colleagues and MDE and others, and I will share it with the commission before the next commission meeting.
Thank you, Cliff. And Mangela, if you wouldn't mind, Camille's had her hand up. If she could go, and then you could come back. Is that all right? Thank you.
No, just quickly to speak to Mangela's point and ask Cliff, a lot of our success has been pairing lead testing with immunizations, and because we're a health department, we've been lucky enough to be able to pick up and go to immunizations. So we're happy to share our best practices, but we might want to start thinking about messaging about pairing the two. Yep. Because a lot of times, as you all know, kids fall through the cracks at 12 and 24 months, but they damn sure show up for immunizations because their parents want to send them to school. So let's start having that conversation, and that may be a little further on down the line, but I did want to mention that.
No, I really appreciate that, Camille. That's a great idea.
Mangela?
Oh, yes. Camille, you just spoke for me. I was just wanting to request whether we could combine the immunization certificate and the lead certificate combined together as a single form, maybe 2 pages, because it's 12 months children go to the pediatrician office for the vaccine, and then at the 2 years, 1.5 years, 18 months, they go back there. So it's really too much for the programs and the parents to follow up with those 2 forms, and also for the pediatrician to go back and look at those records to see where the lab results are, where the immunization record are. So if we could combine that form, that will alleviate a lot of burden from the healthcare providers, parents going back and forth, and also to the child care program that serve the younger children that we are talking about, especially for the lead poisoning prevention.
So, Mangela, I will discuss that with the immunization folks. It's a great idea. It raises some interesting questions, which I don't know. My first response is it's a wonderful idea. I will explore it, and then I'll come back to you and let you know what the conversation looks like. No, but I really appreciate the suggestion.
Yes,
thank you, Cliff. For that, we have Christina.
Yep, I just wanted to echo my support and agreement, as I did in the chat, with Mangela's recommendations. It's very cumbersome. You could share the strategies that you're talking about and giving the information as to why and explaining it in a brief paragraph, along with condensing the form, taking out the zip codes, that would be helpful. But someone asked on the chat, do you have a copy of the form? I sent it to Wendy. So if she wants to share the form, go ahead and send it out. I just sent it to her a few minutes ago, so you can see what it looks like with the zip codes and the form.
And Wendy, I'll ask that we not only put it in, have it in the chat, but we do email it afterwards. But it dawns on me two things.
Do you want to bring it up now, Ruth Ann?
No, I mean, just share it.
Okay,
I think
sure.
would be the easiest thing. But Angela, I also heard you about public education on what is occurring. So I would really like to move that forward too. Cliff, remind all of us the dates of inaction of when we. I'm afraid my cold here or whatever it is.
Oh, I hear you. I hear you.
When do we go into effect on these matters? When does the 3.5 become a trigger for environmental investigation, intervention? Because that's also important to our property owners and others on the line here. So when does all of this go into various effect as we move forward?
Right, and Paula probably wants to weigh in on this, but I'll just pull up so I don't screw it up. October is the first date, but let me pull up the memo, here are the dates. Wait a minute, not that one. Here we go. So effective October 28th, 2022, when a child under the age of 6 or a pregnant woman has a blood lead level greater than or equal to 3.5 micrograms per deciliter, MDE or the local health department will be notifying the parent or the pregnant woman and the property owner and initiating case management. So that's October 28th of 2022. The Department of the Environment has to report to the legislature its evaluation of how to effectively incorporate the blood lead reference value into the overall lead programs. That report has to be in before December 31st. And then effective January 1st, 2024, not 2023, but 2024, when a child under the age of 6 or a pregnant woman has a blood lead greater than or equal to 3.5 micrograms per deciliter, an environmental investigation will be conducted.
Very good, Cliff.
So we will also share these dates. I would actually like at the end of every agenda that we have, Wendy, moving forward, if there are any legislative action dates pending for the future, that they always be at the bottom of our agenda so that the agenda is shared publicly. Those will be reminders. But for Mantle and Cliff and others on the call, I think that it would be really helpful and important for us to do some sort of public communication, not on the 28th in terms of a release, and a series of kind of videos that we can put up on a LED channel, if you will, to what that means, and then preparing for the future, what it will mean to move for environmental intervention. And I want to do a series of these anyhow in the state for access for families on how they get resources, how they can get support. And I think that'll be helpful for childcare owners as well. Thank you, Cliff, for taking the large part of the ball on that. Do we have any remaining questions?
Ruth Ann, the only thing I would say, since Shante and obviously Paula and the MDE team will be the lead for rollout and implementation. We will obviously support them completely, but I would obviously, they are the ones who own this law, And so we will all work together. But I didn't know if Shantae had anything else.
Of course. And Shantae, for what I know GHHI will want to do on public education on this, we'll certainly advise everybody on this meeting, but you and the Department of Health. But Shantae, did you want to say anything before we closed off this discussion?
No, not at this time. Dr. Mitchell has already advised of the due dates. And, you know, we're preparing in order to take on the notification process October the 28th.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for the continued good work there, Shantae.
I'm sorry, I just have to, this is Paula from MDE. Currently, I'm working with our Office of Communications to develop, first of all, a video, just an overreaching video of that's just about completed, that kind of overreaches, you know, talks about the department as a whole. And secondly, we're going to be working on some social media campaigns, sort of, you know, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, little shorts to talk about these things, and especially during Lead Week as well. So I'd be happy to share those with you as they are completed. Right now, we're just about in the final stage of the video that's going to be posted on our website.
Okay. Well, it would be great if you could have that video available for the meeting in October and share that with the commission.
Sure.
We'll have a film unveiling. Paul Rogers likes to have film unveilings. He came to one at our office, I know, before. We'll let you, Paul, work with the department, and you can MC that with them. But that's good work, and thank you for the update, Paula, and it will be very helpful for the public to have access to that, as well as other educational work there. We have talked about the recognition program. Wendy, we have on the agenda here an MSDE OCC update. So shall we turn to Manjula for that?
That is for October.
Yeah, that's for October, correct.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have gone, I've really, see, this is like being sick. You shouldn't run a meeting. I just took us through a lot of our October planning. Let's go to new business, and I apologize for making others wait. We have an updated, long-awaited update on lead and water in schools, and really appreciate Fred being here from MSDE and being so patient, waiting through all of this. Fred, we'll turn it over to you.
All right, thank you very much, members of the commission. I'm Fred Mason, director of the MSDE Office of School Facilities, and we work a lot with MDE on the testing program and with the Interagency Commission on School Construction on funding programs. So since the Maryland action level was set at 5 parts per billion by the 2021 legislation, school systems have used the Healthy School Facilities Fund to address those fixtures that tested between 5 and 20 parts per billion. They had used it previously to address those that tested over 20 parts per billion. And the funding awards from the fiscal year 2021 and 2022 Healthy School Facilities Fund program are available on the Interagency Commission website. There's a Healthy School Facilities Fund section, and in addition to the Healthy School Facilities Fund, school systems can, of course, use their own funds, typically for fixture replacements, or the Aging Schools program for small capital projects. And then obviously large capital projects such as renovations and replacements of buildings will address everything in the school. And stand for any questions.
Yes. Any questions for Fred? Yes, Camille.
Just wanted to put out there that clearly this is working, because I've gotten more questions than I've ever gotten before about notifications. Parents just don't understand what that letter means. I will tell you that. So I literally have had them kind of scan me a copy, and I've seen it, and we sometimes get a copy and walk them through. But when you say things like parts per billion and parts per, they don't understand exactly what that means. They automatically go, oh my God, what's happening at the school? We have lead in the water. So maybe a fact sheet, and I'm not sure if a fact sheet comes out with it to say this is what that really means, because they're calling and it's definitely working.
Okay, and that is something, thank you for that. And that's something that we can work with MDE on, because we both received those notifications, but on how understandable they are to the general public. So yeah, that is very, very useful. We know that they go out, but are they really hitting the mark? Sounds like it's an open question.
Fred, is this all available, updates on your website? Is there a public place that people can go and connect to this?
For the funding from the Healthy School Facilities Fund, yes, that is available on the Interagency Commission on School Construction website, and I can...
if you would mind sharing that link. So
I can share that link.
That would be great. And then if parents...
will be.
Yep, and if parents have questions about lead and water in schools, or questions of concern, or just FAQs for their students, right, for their children. Is there something now on the MSDE website around lead and water and the steps being taken and the protections and things that we also ask for parents and students to be aware of?
I will have to research whether there's a section on the MSDE website, but
yeah, I would encourage. Yeah, I would encourage it. I know people have lots of questions about schools that may still be using any bottled water or anything. You know, we've had debates in this commission or conversations in this commission around making sure that students know they shouldn't be drinking out of the taps of the bathrooms, necessarily cupping their hands. So good education everywhere would be helpful, and a progress report in a way, or a progress chart of all of the good work that you're doing to eradicate this issue as it moves forward, I think is an important communication to the public, and one that would be helpful in not only equipping the public and families, but allaying fears where they can be allayed, and raising awareness where that's necessary. So definitely would appreciate MSDE looking at this, seeing what they can do. I know that my organization and the commission, and I'm sure others in the state would be willing to work with you to help create that if need be.
Great, thank you.
Other questions, please, for Fred? Angela? Are you guys right down the hall from each other and you're just going to pester?
We're in the same building.
Thank you, Fred. I'm really interested to learn about the Healthy School Facility Funds that pays for the fixtures. A couple of years ago, we talked about childcare programs, especially the childcare centers that houses many children, to have the water tested. But there was no funding available for the fixtures for the childcare programs, and the MDE could not proceed with that because we did not agree due to the lack of funding, or we could not identify the funding source. I heard from you that there is interagency funding. Not sure whether that can be given to these programs.
Yeah, the Healthy School Facilities Fund is something that the public school systems can apply for, and lead remediation is one of several priority areas for the Healthy School Facility Fund, but that's for the public schools. It would be possible for non-public schools to use some of their non-public aging school programs funds to for lead remediation if they need to. For child care centers, it gets a little more difficult in terms of capital funding sources. There's a security improvement program, and that's become more specific to security needs. At one point in the history of the program, it was available for safety, and lead remediation would certainly fall into safety, but now that it's been narrowed to security, that option isn't there at the moment.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments? And thank you, Fred. I know Delegate Jared Solomon's work has been very important to helping to support and others to get the funding connected and the resources, and certainly appreciate that. But you're doing the work to make this happen. And on behalf of the Commission, we are quite grateful that you are doing so. Thank you for sharing any information you can that we can share with the public. And I look forward to following up with you directly on helping on the communication side of what we can about the good work being done. So thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right, we are down to the CHIP program, and Jack Daniels I know is here, and Cliff. Love to get an update on where we stand and what would be needed to really make this program move forward with robust support, and love to hear about the challenges as well as the successes of the program. So Jack and Cliff, I'll turn it over to you.
Thanks, Ruthann. Jack, do you want to start with the housing portion with Medicaid?
Sure. Well, what I can do a little bit too is, because we were just actually on another committee meeting with the breakdown of the match and stuff like that, I can kind of read off that data. I can also give sort of the update of what we have done in the past 2 fiscal years in regards to spending, average job cost, which traditionally includes relocation, and then talk a little bit about the overall, I guess, hurdles or barriers or things that currently are not making things as smooth as we would like to do. So I guess first to start off with, our total funding for this fiscal year 23, is a total funds of $2,591,433. That is currently broken down of a split or a match of roughly 69.34 in federal match, and a state match of 30.66, or a little bit under 31% from the state, which breaks out to, if you want specifics, annual fund for this would be a little under 1.7 million from the federal portion, and a little bit over $900,000 as the state match. I know that was a question that was previously asked, and it does fluctuate based upon that. It does look like, from what I'm reading here, is that for outgoing years, we're going to kind of stick towards the 65%, 35%, 65% federal, 35% state funded. Good news. Last year was the first year that we officially fully obligated the funds. Actually, we were about $22,000 over obligation. So that just kind of carried forward into this fiscal year. That number was a little over $2.3 million. That was incorporated in 23 deals with an average of about $100,000 per project. Included in that is sort of significant abatement, as well as other repairs that would jeopardize the integrity of the encapsulation or the lead work that we have done. And included in that, depending upon the extensiveness of the project itself, our allowed cost is a relocation and storage of items. Many of the times these projects are so significant that just doing proper containment, as well as moving stuff in towards like sort of the middle of the room to reach other areas is not feasible, and it's not safe. So what we end up doing is that not only having to relocate the family into a lead-free zone or property or hotel room or apartment, but we also end up having to store those items in a pod, a storage unit, so that we're able to have full access to the property so that we can get the work completed. And when I do say we do have approved contractors that go in and scope out the work and actually complete the abatement and the work. We at DHCD and we at the Maryland Department of Health do not do that work. We were just short in the fiscal year 21 about $200,000 to be able to spend out, but that only incorporated about 20 deals. So fiscal year 21, our average was a little over $111,000 per project. So we are trending down towards trying to get not only more applicants, but to identify more of the abatement and lowering or decreasing the time that we would need to be in the house, and that the customer or the client or homeowner would need to be out of the house. So we are trending in that direction, but we are still seeing that by the time the properties are coming to us through verification and that sort of stuff, is that many of these houses are filled with lots of lead. I'll first stop sort of there in regards to if there's any questions. I think I did see a hand up, but it might have been removed.
Barbara has a statement and a question.
Oh, there it is. Okay.
What is the range high, low cost per home to be repaired?
So I said that prior to, so it is still, I mean, what we envisioned when we originally created the program that we would be able to be as impactful as possible through the abatement, but we also did realize that we didn't want to put a Band-Aid over, a bigger issue, especially if there was a repair that would cause, like I had mentioned, jeopardize the integrity of the abatement work or the encapsulation that we did and the measures that were going to be done. So it has included the ability to, I mean, for basic, example is, we, after testing, we found that there was significant amount around a particular window. If we were going to replace it, or if we were just going to have the contractor do the appropriate measures to encapsulate. If, say, there was a hole in the roof right above that area, over time, there could be a very easy situation where the encapsulation of that was compromised, and then all of a sudden the same lead dust particles and other items were still coming back into the property, and still being in an area where a kid might be able to receive that. And this project doesn't just address for children under the age of 6, even though we know statistics says that when they're the most vulnerable, it does go from 18 years or younger, as long as they are Medicaid eligible or already enrolled, as well as having a blood lead level of 5 micrograms per deciliter or higher. So the range we set. So we have had a couple deals, Barbara, that have been in just $25,000-$30,000, and then we've had some that have been over $200,000, depending upon the extent where they were at. I know that we did have a deal. This was a couple years back, but it was a dairy farm that not only the farm, but the sort of detached buildings where there was play and activity from the children. It was just a very large property. It was an old, farmhouse. So from that, it just ended up being a very large. We also had to do a significant amount of soil remediation as well. So it just ended up being quite high.
We have a hand from Camille Burke, and then I have a question behind Camille.
Sure. All right, Camille.
This is actually more of a Cliff question than a Jack question. Are we adjusting this particular program to match the CDC reference level at some point?
So Jack and I are both awaiting a decision by Medicaid and CMS. That's not even a Medicaid question. That's a federal government question.
And that was actually my answer to.
That is a question that we are all waiting to hear what the answer is.
I will continue to wait with bated breath.
Yeah. I don't know if you should bait your breath, but yes, we are waiting for that as well.
Understood.
Okay, and so knowing that there is such need across the state, for which this is basically the only resource, a consistent resource throughout the state outside of Baltimore, and Jack, I mean, when it's certainly important to get to every home that we can where there are risk situations, quite high at $100,000 and some thousand to hear that. And I have sort of a two-part question. One, how are you triaging the units to make decisions and maximize the dollars? And what efforts are being made by the CHIP program to align with other resources that you have within HCD or in the local counties to maximize the leverage of doing work in these homes to get to not only a lead safe or lead-free status, but sort of healthier, holistically housing. Could you say a little bit more about that?
Sure. So besides the transition period that is upon us all, we are currently in a rebranding for my other programs to sort of simplify and to be able to leverage with other resources within DHCD. We started that with this particular program. We kind of the process and the flow after one of our approved contractors comes up with a scope of work. We have Mike Lafferty, currently our head program manager and lead inspector, as well as an additional inspector who's sort of finalizing his training. Is they review those scope of works, they do site visits, and they start to identify other internal sources that truly meet the requirement or the repair. It really does not fall underneath the Healthy Homes for Healthy Kids, our program one guidelines. So we start working with the clients, letting them know sort of the different requirements and what we can address based upon other funding sources. And we work with them to encourage them to continue to be able to get that assistance and that support. That's currently what we're doing right now. We unfortunately do not have the ability to force them to do that. This is sort of a voluntary enrollment. There have been actual times too where for other other extenuating circumstances, individuals choose not to move forward. We sort of address that with the local health department or caseworker that is working on the particular project to make sure the importance of, you know, the health and safety of the child. But currently right now we're leveraging and we're identifying the other items that we are able to, as we have received new funding sources in other areas and increase funding through sort of the Department of Energy, as well as our whole home half critical repair program. We've also identified other areas so that we could leverage. Now, one thing we do know, and we have continuously since the beginning of the creation of this program, have been utilizing feeder files and other stuff like that, just trying to get the information out to the general public. I know that Dr. Mitchell's team has worked closely with the local health departments, especially the ones that are also enrolled in Program 2, to be able to talk to many of the pediatricians and families, encouraging them to, you know, enter in or at least listen into, you know, us to be able to go in and be able to help them out.
Yeah, I just believe that we can both maximize these on performance and cost, and I think doing that will reach more families and also will engender more match support from the state. And but I do think there is a real discussion to be had on leverage of these other resources. So I'd love to encourage the ACD to have a platform, a grading platform that will take a scope of work and will have a tool to point into how we can grade those resources. Jack, remind me, and it may just be my current head cold state here, homeowners and tenants in this program, or are we homeowners only?
So originally, through the state planned amendment, there was the intention to be able to do homeowners and tenants, but we have stopped currently after guidance or information back from CMS is that we are currently not doing landlord tenant situations because there has still.
I'm going to make a request that you share that information with me and the others on their point of view on that, because in other places around the country, this is obviously being done for both, and we have such a great need on resources there. But Cliff, you were going to say.
Ruth Ann?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so can I just add one caveat to what Jack said? So the reason that, and it's really important to understand the reason why Maryland may be a little different than other states. In Maryland, there is a legal responsibility upon landlords to make their apartments lead-free. And we did not want to and could not get in the way of that law. So there is this situation has come up with a couple of times. Landlords have a legal responsibility to incur the cost to do this as part of their being a landlord. And so this was a discussion early on with Medicaid about the idea that we were not going to subsidize landlords who had violated the law by not making their property lead-free. The one exception to this will be where there isn't a formal landlord-tenant relationship, where, for example, the person who's not the homeowner may be a family member, and the person may be living in what's considered an apartment, but it's not legally an apartment. There's no landlord-tenant relationship. It's not a registered property and wouldn't qualify as a registered property, but it's not the person's home because they're living with a relative, for example.
Okay.
Jack, I just wanted to make sure that we.
No, I mean, I think there is sound logic there. I would only wish for the day that the requirement was to make them lead-free versus lead-safe. But I otherwise understand that. And but there I did not know if they made provision for certain financial circumstances where a child would be put at risk because there is no resources to do this. But it just calls out, to be able to have some fund to be able to do that moving forward. Jack, we've been around the barn on this, but given the fact that Governor Phil Murphy and the state of New Jersey just appropriated out $170 million of American Rescue Plan dollars for the reduction of lead-based paint in housing in the state of New Jersey, I wondered if we have made any progress in our thought, research, or approach on ARP funding as either a match for CHIP, if not a match for CHIP, as another tool for HCD.
So at the current moment, it is continuously brought up, but by the direction of my superiors, it is not a part of the ARP plan. That's just my
as a commissioner,
my statement.
As a commissioner, not necessarily on behalf of the entire commission, I have to tell you that is deeply troubling to me. If we have these resources in hand to be able to advance something that we know how to identify, we know how to fix, and we have money that is specifically called out in the regulations and Treasury. We have many places around the country, Cleveland putting in 17 million, Milwaukee putting in 84 million, Phil Murphy in New Jersey putting in money, and hopefully the city of Baltimore soon to announce money in this. I encourage strongly the state to go back, to look at this, to make an effort to do it, because this is about brain damage. This is about long-term health and opportunity for children, especially in our most disadvantaged communities. It is about supporting the entire mission of this commission. And I could not be more frustrated, more disappointed in the state of Maryland for failure to take advantage of the American Rescue Plan dollars to advance this work and this program. And it is something that I intend to continually point out and do all of my level best to change the view of the Maryland Department of Housing and Community Development about an approach to solve this issue. Any other questions for Jack? I appreciate your presentation today, Jack, and appreciate all the work you do. So I do want to say that. Barbara?
I just want to echo within what you had said. And in addition to that, there's just so many limitations for children that are over the age of 6. Over the age of 6. And this is one program that we can actually utilize for the older child as well. And if a family and landlord are in agreement with this being done, it would be extremely helpful to have that resource available for them.
Thank you. Any other questions for Jack or his sidekick, Cliff Mitchell? Thank you both. This is an amazing thing that we have this program. We have the opportunity to build it. I hope we continue to take it seriously and build it as we move forward.
I did want to just add a sort of caveat to it. And so because this in fiscal year 21 and definitely happening in fiscal year 22, the idea for us is that I think we finally have a full-blown justification to go back out and ask for additional funds. Now, obviously, we need to see the appetite and the feasibility of that. Conversations that we had before is that there is a possibility of money being available. So, you know, there is the intent to continue to grow the program, leverage this program with, do good things with it, but also be able to ask for more money. And Dr. Mitchell.
Understand that, Cliff. And then I have a question for Delegate Attar, if Delegate, if you're listening. Cliff, go ahead.
Yeah, no, this is just an apology. I've just been told I have to jump off for another call. So, Madam Chair, I'm just asking if you have need for me for anything else before I go, because it looks like I'm going to be on for a while.
No, it's fine. And we are, is there anything important through the MDH update that you wanted to share that you have not?
No, I will just emphasize we are looking at completing the evaluation for the impact of the regulations change. We are working on revising Form 4620, thanks to the input from many of you, and we will share that. And we've been working very closely with MDE on the revisions to the House, to the business processes for how local health departments are going to manage lead-exposed kids. And then finally, we are working on integrating all of our operations, because we're now, between what's happening with asthma and what's happening with lead, we have this sort of large confluence of activity related to housing and health. And I know I don't have to say this to you, Ruth Ann, because you've been there for quite before many others in the country. But this really is, we are looking at this more and more as an opportunity to think of housing as a fundamental determinant of health in a way where we can leverage the opportunities from the work we're doing with asthma, the work we're doing with lead, and some of the other programs to think more holistically about the health of children as it relates to housing issues.
Well, thank you for that, Cliff. And I do think in these aligned programs, we want to make sure, and I know Comfort Kissy, who's part of the MDH program with GHHI on this, we ought to be thinking about, has joined us today, is we ought to be thinking about how we're asking the cross questions about healthy housing at every stage and the alignment, and look forward to continuing that work. And thank you for your attendance today. My question, Delegate Attar, is simply this: whether or not, from the legislative standpoint, we ought to pose a question to the governor from the delegation around the ARP money on lead, and maybe encourage from the legislature and support of DHCD and its efforts to utilize whatever monies may still be at hand there, either in this administration or next. And just wanted to potentially ask that perhaps from your chair in the House of Delegates, there might be a good letter that could come out on that question.
Absolutely. So I'm not on environment and transportation, but I will speak to Chair Barve about it. I don't see why he would object to it, but absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much. And thank you again, Jack and Cliff. Wendy, help me out. Where are we here? Jonathan, you've been patiently waiting. See your kind face there. Do you want to give a report on compliance and enforcement? And thank you for being with us today.
Sure.
I promise to give you a maybe slightly easier time than Jack, but just because it's Jack. But I know we've had a lot of publicity. We shared with the commission the issue of the 973 inspections, and I met with the secretary, but I would hope you can bring us up to date on where we are.
So I'm sorry, if I could just step in really quickly. The 973 has nothing to do with Jonathan's division. That was an audit for the registry. So I just wanted to clear up that confusion, because he won't be providing an update on that. Kaylee or I will. Okay.
Well, great. We look forward to you and Kaylee following Jonathan maybe on that. Then thank you, Shante. Yes, Adam. And Adam, thank you for your help on that. Immensely glad to have you today.
No problem. So Dahlia, if I can help you with Kumar, let me know.
Absolutely. Thank you, Adam. I appreciate it.
No problem.
All right, Jonathan, talk to us about what you want to talk to us about, then, and Shante will always keep me in line. So there you go.
All right, thank you.
Pull up, do you want me to pull up the screen?
No, actually,
okay.
The document I gave you had some errors on it, so actually I'll I'll kind of just
Yep.
if I can present, I guess.
Yeah, let me
I
stop
can.
presenting. Yeah, go ahead.
All right, thank you. First off, I wanted to introduce you all to Dr. Banks, Dr. Frederick Banks. He's our new Deputy Program Manager, and he comes from Department of Natural Resources. He was in the Parks and Planning Division, I believe. And I don't know if he wants to speak briefly or just wants to remain radio silent, but I just thought I'd introduce everybody to Dr. Banks since he is a new face to the lead commission meetings.
Welcome, Dr. Banks.
Thank you. And just for clarification, I was been with state government for a long time. I started out with Governor's Office for Children, Youth, and Families, working on results and indicators, and moved on to Morgan State for a little while, and then most recently at Maryland DNR in the Parks Division, working with Conservation Corps. So been working with young people for quite a while, so it keeps me young and keeps me happy. So looking forward to working with everyone.
All right, so thank you, Dr. Banks. So last time I spoke was probably last year regarding the enforcement and compliance report, and largely that's what we've been reporting. It will be on the annual report, but what you'll see here is kind of precursory report. It hasn't been vetted, so it hasn't been released through publication yet. Largely because some of these numbers may change, especially this number here, the penalties collected by the department through enforcement, and that may go up, and typically it does. But what you'll see here is this is primarily the third-party contractors, permits accredited for the actually it's the fiscal year, and this is dating from July 1st of 2021 through June 30th of 2022, if for those of you who aren't familiar with the fiscal year. And then the registration, this has gone down a little bit. I think it's gone down about 5,000 from the year prior. And then inspections conducted by the department and then also third-party inspectors. And then what we have here is some compliance numbers, and I'm not really going to go too much into detail, and these are the number of significant violations. Now, when the report comes out, you'll obviously may compare it to the years prior, but this is something I kind of wanted to touch base on. Due to the changes in the blood lead reference value to 5 micrograms per deciliter, pursuant to Environment Article 6, Subtitle 305 and COMAR Regulations 261608, we are required to conduct environmental investigations pursuant to the CDC blood lead reference value, and that level is 5 right now. And that took an effect on July 1st of 2020. Now, kind of just to run some numbers by you in comparison and what I did was I ran the fiscal year numbers for fiscal year 2020, so a year prior to that change coming in effect. The Maryland Department of Environment had 124 environmental investigations. Now, at that time, we had, I want to say, 4 risk assessors conducting environmental investigations. As we all know, well, maybe some of you may not know. I know Camille knows this, and Susan Kleinhammer, I believe she's still on the call. It takes more than a year to train and grow an environmental risk assessor. And so what we had to do is we have to hire inspector technicians or individuals off the street and train them and then bring them up to speed. And I know Baltimore City has had a hard time retaining these risk assessors. and getting them up to speed to conduct the environmental investigations. And this isn't a state requirement, it's actually an EPA requirement. So it's a federal requirement.
Do you have any data? I know this is a little bit off the reservation, but do you have any
Sure.
data of the average wage or salary that a lead risk assessor would earn in the state of Maryland?
In the state of Maryland, I don't, but I do know that currently state employees earn it's approximately 40,000 as an entry level ECS1, and by the time that they are eligible to become a risk assessor, it's approximately 45,000. And then thanks, Wade. Wade's actually listening in, but an environmental compliance specialist 4 has the base wage of about 55,000. So typically, if they are a regional inspector, they are making about that much. Now, I don't know what Baltimore City's pay rate is, but that's what we're dealing with the state. So keep those numbers in mind, and I'll kind of run those by you.
I was asking for a couple of reasons, and also be good to hear from Chris White or Susan or others in the private market. But it as we want to build this capacity, out into the community as an opportunity for workforce pathways, right, and community hire from impacted communities. But I also wonder if the pay rate is posing a issue for Baltimore City, for example, on the retention, et cetera. But we can talk about that offline, making sure that we're properly resourcing people for the jobs that they're doing.
Yeah, we actually aren't struggling too much for risk assessors at this point. We did have 2 individuals that had left the state. As I said before, we had 4 risk assessors to conduct 124 environmental investigations, but we did have a couple of supervisors chipping in, so we about part-time.
Okay.
But for fiscal year, I'm sorry, my phone's ringing. But for fiscal year 2021, we had 461 environmental investigations that we had to conduct, or children with the blood lead reference value or above. So we did have to conduct some environmental case management work in those. So that's a 372% increase. And then for fiscal year 2022, we had 480. So that's 387%. And currently right now, we have 8 risk assessors within the compliance division, and then 1 that we're borrowing from the lead oversight and accreditation division, and he's helping us out. But so I think staff retention in hiring these individuals, and then also as we all know that once the blood lead levels go down, it's not a linear increase, it's exponential. And so it's a tough battle, but the House Bill 1110 has provided us with some relief, because we did see the tidal wave coming eventually, and with the Federal Advisory Committee making their recommendations in May of 2021, CDC did lower the blood lead reference value to 3.5 on what you did say the October 27th last year. So, and that does provide us some relief to at least hire some individuals and also do a study, which House Bill 1110 called for this summer, and we're currently working on that now. Dr. Renee Boss-Victoria with the Lead Health and Surveillance Division, Shantae and myself, we've been pulling some numbers, and we're sending out some surveys and trying to do some analysis. And then also, when you reduce the blood lead reference value, as we all know, lead's ubiquitous. It's in the environment. And then there are also some additional hazards that we've run across. And there really is no federal standard for certain types of media. For example, lead in baby food, lead in formula, lead in fruit juices, and it's more like an industry standard that they go by. So I think, you know, I don't know if there can be some pressure or on CDC, maybe more like HUD. They haven't revised their guidelines in Chapter 16 since 2012 with this lowering of the blood lead level. We definitely have to look at some additional sources of environmental hazards. And then also maybe the Food and Drug Administration, they need to come up with some standards or some guidance regarding those other possible contaminants, because it is making our jobs a little harder. And we did, the state of Maryland, you know, we had some meetings prior to the House Bill 1233 coming into effect, which lowered the blood lead reference value to 5 in conducting environmental investigations. We did make some recommendations in lowering the blood, or actually the dust clearance levels to 10, 100, and 100. And so, we're trying to do some comparisons with other unions or states in the union and local municipalities and seeing what they're doing. But as we all know, that Maryland is kind of a pioneer, and we're kind of
yeah, absolutely. Jonathan, let me pause you for 1 second. Shantae, you have your hand up.
No, I just wanted to say, in the interest of time, if we can stick to the current report. I know communication will come out in regards to the HB 1110 study, for which Jonathan was so gracious in order to go over a little bit into. But I know that it's 11:08 and we're supposed to end at 11:30. So I just want to be cognizant of time. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And thank you very much for that help on that. And this is important. I would say, Jonathan, Shantae, it might be good to also, and Wendy, to invite Tom Neltner from EDF, who's done most of the work on lead baby food and the Healthy Babies Bright Futures folks. And maybe at one of our future meetings, they could present the findings and what is being done to establish, definitely to establish standards there. But Jonathan, I think it would be good if we could maybe wrap this up so we could move, and don't want to cut you terribly short.
No problem. Yeah. So I think the one thing you'll see is if you do compare the numbers from the year prior to this current fiscal year, the number of significant violations did go down. It's actually at 51. The year prior had 192, and that is because of the increase in the environmental investigations and following through with that. Bless you, and training our staff. So it has had an impact, and so we're seeing less enforcement, but more, I guess, community outreach, and ended up concentrating more on the blood lead reference values and conducting environmental investigations. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Jonathan. Any questions? Thank you again. Wendy, I don't see the agenda up. Can you tell me where we go next?
Yeah, it's coming up, and we got, let's see, can y'all see that?
Yeah. We already did Jack. Do we, Adam, any legislative pre-files that you are aware of? I don't think Anna's with us, or she may be by under a telephone number, but anything you know there that we should discuss?
Adam said he had an 11 a.m. meeting. He just cut out.
I think we've covered most of the rest. I will tell, just for transparency, want folks to know that in my meeting with Secretary DeBlata, Shantae Branch, and Kaylee Licker, GHHI did discuss the unspent funding under the codified section of the lead risk reduction in housing law on community outreach and education funds that have not been spent over the last several years in the public as intended by the legislature. What that has caused is the elimination of a legal services attorney specifically for lead poisoned children. And we believe that MDE should look at that and look to restore funding for this position. I think it's critical in negotiations with property owners to get compliance in housing court, and have somebody who is concentrating on this on behalf of tenants. We will be happy to share more in future meetings, but I did want to be, for transparency, to let you know that during the meeting to discuss the registration compliance and that Adam had rightfully raised, that this was also raised, and happy to talk offline with anybody on that. But I think our families in the state definitely would benefit, and there is great need for that. Let me just go through this quickly, seeing as we are on time. MDE, any further quick, brief updates?
I had a few things just on the staffing front. I did want to let everybody know that Shantae Branch, who I think all of you probably know at this point, is the manager of the lead program. She's going to be leaving MDE. Her last day will be next week. I believe Tuesday is her actual last day in the office. And she's off to pursue other opportunities. So did just want to say a big thank you to her. She's been great help over the last several years with everything, all the progress we've made with the 5 to 9s and rolling out LRCA, you know, merging the registration in with the rest of the lead program. So we really appreciate her hard work, and we'll miss her a lot. I also, Jonathan mentioned Fred Banks, who we're really happy to have on as the deputy program manager for the lead program. But one other staffing thing, we also hired recently a new epidemiologist. So that's Dr. Kayvon's position. And her name's Shamola Dai. I don't think she's on the call today, but I'm sure that you'll get to meet her at future meetings. So we're really excited to have both of them on board, and just wanted to let you all know that.
Kaylee?
Yes.
Let me just say on behalf of the commission and also on behalf of the Green and Healthy Homes Initiative, just a great deal of thanks and appreciation for Shantae and her work. Shantae, I don't know if you want to say a few words, and I'm hoping you're going to stay in a similar field. You're just really excellent at what you do. And I know we send our great thanks and congratulations for you in your future endeavors.
Yes, thank you. I was going to send an email out. I don't like being caught off guard. But no, it's been a pleasure of mine to work alongside of MDE as the program manager, along with the staff and, you know, the colleagues that's on this call the last 4.5 years. I'm humbly grateful for the opportunity to come into MDE. I'm working as the program manager, and I do find comfort that Dr. Banks is here. He's great, he's intelligent, and I know that he will lead the program moving forward to the next level. So thank you all so very much for your kindness, your respect, and your collaboration over the years. It truly has been a pleasure working here at MDE, and I will remain in the health field helping, because I think that is my call to help others. But yeah, it's time for me to spread my wings and fly. So thanks, everybody.
Fantastic. Great. We look forward to that. And thank you again, and welcome to the new employees coming into MDE. And Dr. Banks, thank you for coming in and participating in this. And I saw a number of congratulations to Shantae in the comments from Camille and others. shouting out from rooftops there, and appreciate everything there. Kaylee, I'm sorry I interrupted you.
No, I think that was all I had in terms of updates, unless you wanted anything further on the audit.
I think if you could just share what you have shared with me. I think we shared briefly, but for the public kind of record, if you could give a very quick update on those 973 units in question that were reported in the media.
Okay, sure. So this was a just the regular legislative audit that we have periodically. The audit period was from the end of 2016 through April 2021. So this was an audit that happened before LRCA went live in December 2021. Basically, there were a report that was run from OLRR and then compared against a report of certificates in the old certificate database. And the auditors identified 973 units that they believed lacked certificates, at least in the database. And they took a sample of 10 of those, found that, and 4 out of the 10, MDE had not already done an investigation to determine whether the certificate they had appropriate certificates. So what we've done, we took the 973 that the auditors identified, we compared that against the LRCA database, and we were able to cut that down to 309. We found that some of them had certificates in LRCA. They may have gotten certificates after the period of time that the auditors looked at. There's also sometimes minor differences in the way that the addresses or units are entered between OLRR and the certificate database. So that sometimes was causing the auditors to not be able to make that match. And then there were also a small number that were reported vacant, so they didn't need certificates. So with the remaining 309, we sent advisory letters to the property owners in July. We got those back in August, responses from them. That left 266 units that we still think had potential certificate issues. We have prepared notices of noncompliance for those, and we'll be sending those starting September 6th. And then if that doesn't resolve the issues, we'll follow the normal enforcement process for, creating cases and forwarding them to the OAG as needed for enforcement. And then going forward, we've done a few things to try to better catch instances where there are properties that register but don't have certificates that they should have. So we've created a report that we can use LRCA data and compare that certificate data with the OLRR registration and tenant and certificate data, so that we don't need to do a manual comparison. We've created a report in OLRR that also will show units that are registered and had turnovers and either did or didn't have certificates. And then we have, we already had a process in place to check for certificates on all new registrations. So starting this month, we're implementing a process to confirm certificates for renewals as well. And then finally, we have a notice of violation that we send when people fail to renew their registration. That has been adjusted so that it will now include language requiring them to submit certificate information if they want to settle the registration violation. So that's where we are with that. If there's any questions on that, I'm happy to answer them.
Any questions for Kaylee? Thank you for your diligence in that follow-up, and we appreciate it. I'm going to skip MDH and DHCD unless there is something back. Yes. Sorry.
I will give you a little bit on DHCD and then go right into mine for DHCD.
Okay. You're talking about city DHCD, not the state of Maryland, right?
Yes.
Okay. Gotcha. Go ahead.
For city DHCD, Shanika's replacement has been hired and she's only about a month old. Her name is Catherine Taylor. She is working very closely with Jim Hicks, who's the Assistant Commissioner of Homeownership and Preservation. And while we were talking, I texted and emailed and got an answer that city DHCD did get ARPA funds, but none for lead. So I wanted to.
Yes, $3 million for healthy housing. $3 million for healthy housing. There may be an announcement coming out otherwise, pending one hopes. But there is $3 million for healthy housing. And
there she is. Hot damn, there she is.
Catherine, we are so glad to welcome you. Welcome and your brilliance and your talents to the good work ahead.
Hi, it was nice to meet you.
Good to meet you too. And you raised your hand, so please take the floor.
Yeah, I just wanted to inform you and also piggyback off what Camille said, that that we did not, LED did not receive any funding from the ARPA funds.
Yeah.
And as of now, with the lead hazard reduction program, we are in full swing again. We have completed at least 2 units, so we're hoping to speed it up and catch up from the delay of COVID and the staff changes.
Well, I just checked, and I am able to announce that the mayor of Baltimore has set aside $2.5 million out of ARPA funding for the Green and Healthy Homes Initiative to work on lead and healthy housing. So we look forward to working with you. The press release just literally came out moments ago. So we look forward to working with the health department, the state, and you on this, as well as the other programs. It's not what we asked for by any stretch of the imagination and not what the city needs, but we're going to take this one step at a time and keep piecing this together. So welcome, Catherine, to this mission. Thank you.
And to give the BHCD, might as well keep going with the health department, we have hired a replacement for Jerry. Name is Valerie Millings, who's been in the department under Jerry for 24 years. So it's just as good, if not better. Yay. And we also got a brand new sanitarian, a Morgan State grad. So we are chugging along, and we are always having the conversation, Mary Beth, myself, and Jessica, my counterpart in food, about sanitarians, the criteria, their salary, or environmental health specialists, because they're called quite a bit. So that is a conversation that is ongoing with us and also HR about what they're paid and kind of how to bring them up to speed around the state or up to par in some way. So we hear everything you're saying and then some.
Wonderful. And Camille, I can't tell you, we are lucky to have you, best in the business. Would love to have LPPC join us in future meetings one day to give an update on where we are on our joint effort on housing choice vouchers, which I think as we launch the 1,000 home effort in the city here very shortly, it's going to be a necessary part of that. MSDE, I know, Angela, you've given a lot of updates today. Do you have others?
Not at this moment, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I think Benita Cooper was not able to join us today. Will join us next time. And on the Green and Healthy Homes Initiative front, well, I just made the big announcement, I guess, which we are going to receiving $2.5 million from Brandon Scott from the ARPA funds for the city, $1 million from Chris Van Hollen, and are up for an earmark from the Congressman Infume to address lead hazards and racial equity in the city of Baltimore. We will be releasing very soon our calendar of events for Lead Week and Lead Month, and we'll be launching in end of September, beginning of October, the formal actual work to align all of these dollars together from climate and energy efficiency. Thank you, State of Maryland and Baltimore City, and lead, and thanks to HUD, the Healthy Homes, and weaving that together on a 1,000-unit project that will be measuring health and racial equity outcomes and building a system for Medicaid reimbursement as well as building a model for hospital community benefit investment in the state. I would just turn to my colleagues on the line, Wes or others, if there's anything else. I know we're going to also be working with the state, I hope, and this commission to do an update of the asset and gap analysis so that as we go into a new administration, we will have a good plan at hand. Wes, do you have anything else to add?
Just one, you covered Lead Week. As I said, we'll have a calendar of events with MDH and MDE coming up for the next meeting, but also wanted to make sure we introduce to the commission, our partners, new additions to our staff, Comfort Kissy, environmental health educator on asthma and lead prevention services, and also Tiana Shepard, who is our central point of contact for all referrals as our Maryland client intake specialist. So 2 great additions that you all be working with over the course of time. So wanted to introduce them.
And welcome, and we're glad to have really bright and energetic and thoughtful talent, and please reach out to us. Tiana is the first person you will talk to. She is a quarterback of all good work, and Comfort is a recent, correct me if I'm wrong, graduate of the Bloomberg School of Public Health. Amazing, both of them additions to our staff. And if there are any remaining comments before we close or open for any public comments, please.
Could I mention the MDAAP?
Yes, there you go. You were supposed to remind me because I'm slow today. So thank you, Paul.
Thanks again for your great support and being a partner for our ECHO program. I'm working on some slides I can see about presenting those maybe the next meeting, but basically we're recruiting 20 pediatric practices. Each practice is going to be an individual quality improvement to look at how we can improve testing in the pediatric office, as well as monitoring kids with elevated blood levels. It's over a 10-month period. And that's it.
Well, hopefully you'll share those slides with us. We can share it with the commission, and maybe next meeting be great. I think I want to recognize Susan Kleinhammer.
Thank you, Ruth Ann. Listen, I just kind of wanted to ask about any progress on, education again, and also we had met as a commission with the Department of Housing. Mr. Hessler had, when they were putting into effect online permitting for construction work in the city, that at the time in its infancy, they really didn't want to look at this, but now that that is up and running, I think we should, as a commission, revisit the issue about asking for documentation of lead training of these people who are pulling permits.
We have no one here from Hessler's office, but we will do a follow-up on that. Susan, if you could send an email, and I don't know, Mary Beth, if you can comment on this at all or help in any way.
I'm sorry, Ruth Ann, I was momentarily distracted. I have another meeting starting, and I was telling them I'm going to be a little bit late. What was the question again?
Susan, if you could just pose that again.
Sure, thank you. So, Mary Beth, I know that probably about 2 years ago, when Baltimore City Department of Housing was developing the online system for permits to be pulled for work to be done in properties, we as a commission had approached the, I think it was Mr. Hessler, Jason Hessler, right, who we had asked about, would it be possible to get some kind of documentation in the pulling of the permit for those contractors to show lead training. And at that time, I think there was a lot of hesitancy because it was just one more hurdle to put in front of the process of pulling the permit. But now that that system is up and running and it's a little bit older, I'd like to see whether or not we as a commission shouldn't ask again whether or not that can't be added to the system so that we know that contractors are actually lead trained when they're pulling the permit.
Yeah, I'm happy if you could just do me to expedite. If you could put that into an email, I'm happy to approach Jason to see what capabilities they have with this system.
Sure. And Mary Beth, what's your, I have your email, but if you gave it to me, it would be easier.
Yeah, it's marybeth.haller@baltimorecity.gov.
Got it. Thank you so much.
No, happy to do it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from commissioners? Any public comments? Well, we look forward to seeing you. We are 1 minute over. Sorry about that, Shantae. You tried to keep us on time. And again, best wishes to Shantae and thanks for her good work. Welcome to Catherine and others, and welcome Fred. Thank you for all the good reports today. And we look forward to seeing you in Baltimore City in October. Thank you.